this morning and I'm looking through the news, and lo and behold, there's a story about an Oprah interview with a Sandusky. This time, Matt Sandusky, the adopted son to Jerry Sandusky, deciding to speak to Oprah and tell Oprah of these rituals that began every evening. And he loved going over to Jerry's house, and a wonderful time going over there, having experiences there, and the mom cooking the food all the time and all that. But at bedtime, that's when he grew uncomfortable, and that's when the rituals began. And he's now recalling things that he couldn't remember. It's so terrible, he forgot them. But now, through the help of counseling, he is now remembering some of the horrible things, at least that he says, that he's experienced, and that he wants to clear the air. He wants to get things right. He says that one of the reasons why he did this is that he was wrong when he spoke to the grand jury and wanted to set the record straight. He said that 2 years ago, he was not called to testify, but said that when he did testify before the grand jury, did not have all of this information that he now has by this counseling that's bringing all the memories back. Well, when we talk about Sandusky, when we talk about what happened out there over the years, we oftentimes turn to John Ziegler. Our website is framingpaterno.com, and John joining us on the 84 Lumber Newsline. John, welcome back to KDKA. Good to have you on.
Robert, always good to talk to you. All right, so Oprah Winfrey with this interview, blockbuster interview with Matt Sandusky with brand new revelations. Well, actually, they're not new. They happened years ago, according to Matt. He just forgot that they occurred, and now they're coming back to him, and he wants to set the record straight.
Well, there's an amazing phenomenon in this case where people who accuse Jerry Sandusky of sexually abusing them are automatically imbued by the media with magic powers. And they have the ability to recall things that they never recalled before. They can change their story on a whim. They can get away with it. They can testify in front of a grand jury that they were never abused. They can be Jerry Sandusky's biggest defender publicly for an extended period of time. And then they can still get money from Penn State for claiming abuse in the middle of the trial after telling every member of the family after the first day of the trial, which Matt Sandusky attended with Dottie Sandusky. Mm-hmm. He came home and told the family in the living room, I could get up on the stand and lie just like victim number 4 did, and then imply that he could make a lot of money. Well, shockingly, he went about doing exactly that as he saw the ship sinking, and it's very clear. I mean, look, this doesn't even pass the laugh test. I am 100%. And if I could be more than 100%, I would say more than 100%. 100% positive that Matt Sandusky is lying. And I have created a video, which I think proves that, at framingpaterno.com, which people can see for themselves, where I use a couple of clips from the Oprah interview, where I frankly think that Matt's responses were laughable. I mean, they were pathetic. And if the media had wanted to destroy him, they easily could have, but the media has no interest in that. They have their narrative, which we've talked about numerous times. Mm-hmm. They have a particular narrative that they're not going to stray from that no matter what. And so they see everything through the prism of their distorted reality here, a reality for which I don't believe there's much, if any, evidence.
Matt Sandusky telling investigators that Jerry had rubbed along or against his genitals. He said then that he did not recall any type of penetration or oral sex, and that the memories are now coming back to him. This idea that he had, when he first testified to the grand jury, I mean, he made no mentions of any of this in any way, shape, or form, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, his statements were more consistent with what he said earlier. The overnight visits, they were good. I mean, except for that one part, bedtime. Bedtime was the bad part. But any other time that we were in the home, that we were doing anything in the home with the family, it was fine. And it was, again, you would look at the family and you would say, wow, like I wish that I had brothers and sisters that cared about me. I wish I had a mother who cooked dinner every night for the whole family. I wish that I had all these things. And then, but bedtime is where he said the ritual then began.
Well, let me go through the timeline here, because it's incredibly important to put this all into context and perspective, okay? Matt Sandusky claims, at least in his original police interview in the middle of the trial when he suddenly became an accuser at a very convenient time, he claimed at that time that the abuse began when he was about 8 years old, and it was only, as you suggested, really very mild sexual abuse. It was blowing kisses on his stomach and potentially grazing his penis with a hand, nothing remotely sexual, as he claimed with Oprah on last night's show. There's a couple of problems right off the bat. Number one is that Dottie and the family vividly recollect that Matt never stayed over their house until he was 11 years old. He was not adopted until he was 18. He requested that Jerry and Dottie adopt him, according to his own story now, 3 years after he says the abuse stopped at the age of 15, which is awfully weird, to say the least. When the allegations against Jerry Sandusky begin, and the grand jury process starts, the investigation starts, as we've already mentioned, Matt Sandusky is not only Jerry's biggest supporter, he testifies unambiguously that Jerry never abused him and that he does not believe the other accusers. By the way, an incredibly important point here, when Jerry gets arrested, this to me is what blows Matt Sandusky's story out of the water. When Jerry gets arrested, all right, so Matt's had a long time to contemplate the notion that Jerry might be a pedophile. He knows about the grand jury investigation. The whole world is claiming that Jerry's a pedophile after he's arrested, and obviously all those allegations that resulted in the firing of Joe Paterno and essentially the firing of Penn State President Graham Spanier. In the midst of all that, Matt goes to court to force his ex-wife to allow his children to see Jerry Sandusky. Okay, that's game set match. Game set match. There is no possible way in a rational world, especially with the incentives involved here, that would create someone's desire to suddenly become a victim and get a lot of money, which is what Matt Sandusky did in this particular case. There is absolutely no logical explanation for you fighting in court so that your children can see Jerry Sandusky after he's been arrested for being a pedophile. And that's just the flat-out reality of it. After all this, he gets married again, by the way, a second marriage after Jerry gets arrested. And who lights the candle as his mother at that event? Dottie Sandusky, the same woman he claimed last night to Oprah had to know that Jerry was a pedophile. I mean, this guy, when he tried to commit suicide with a girlfriend in his teenage years, which Oprah completely missed the real story on last night because I think she was ignorant of it. The real story blows Matt's tail out of the water here. But the reality is that when he went to therapy after that, the therapist told Dottie and Jerry that this boy has no conscience. And he has no conscience, Robert. He is a bad human being. He comes from an incredibly bad family. His brother is a cold-blooded, convicted murderer. Matt tried to burn down a school as a kid. The Sanduskys brought him in. They tried to fix him, and he ended up creating one of the greatest betrayals that humanity has ever seen. After what Dottie and Jerry did for him, what he did to them in all of this, and including last night, is beyond disgraceful.
John Ziegler is with us. FramingPaterno.com is the website. You can go and see the video that he produced arguing why what Matt Sandusky is saying is just absolutely not true. You can go see it for yourself. I'll put a link up on my Facebook page in a moment. When we come back, I wanted you to talk about what you see as the turning point, how he went from being a great defender of Jerry Sandusky and then now a great accuser, able to receive money from Penn State. What was it that happened? What was the trigger? We'll get to that and more coming up in a moment. News Radio 1020, KDKA. Coming up on 1020 on Mangino, with me right now, John Ziegler from FramingPaterno.com. There's a link up on my Facebook page. Just put it up. You can go right to the Framing Paterno website and see the videos that he produced in light of the Oprah interview that aired last night. John, I want to know where Matt Sandusky was this great defender of Jerry Sandusky up until right in the middle of the trial, and then all of a sudden turns. What caused the turn in your understanding?
Fantastic question, Robert. And I know you don't have nearly enough time to get into all the details, but I have talked about this extensively at one of the top videos there at framingpaterno.com. And this is where this story gets intertwined with everything that happened to Joe Paterno and everything that happened to Penn State and becomes what I believe to be better than any mystery novel ever written. Here's the short version of the story, all right? Mm-hmm. See, the Mike McQueary quote-unquote victim number 2, who I revealed this week is named Alan Myers. He lives outside of State College. I've proven that he is in fact the so-called Mike McQueary victim number 2. He and Matt were friends. In fact, Alan wrote letters to the editor in his own name supporting Jerry Sandusky, in which the title of the letter to the editor, published in numerous papers, and to the Attorney General of the state of Pennsylvania at the time, was "Listen to Matt." The Matt was Matt Sandusky. Just before the trial, Jerry Sandusky tells Matt in a classic naivete, stupid thing for Jerry to do. He tells Matt that Alan has flipped and become a victim after having given a statement to his attorney on the day Joe Paterno was fired, saying nothing had ever happened. Now, we now believe that Andrew Shubin, the attorney for Alan Myers, was bluffing the Sandusky team when he said that Alan Myers was a victim. Interestingly, who is Matt Sandusky's attorney? Andrew Shubin, the very same Andrew Shubin. And it is Jerry's belief, and I think it makes perfect sense, that when Jerry told Matt just before the trial that Alan had flipped, that's when the light bulb went off in Matt's brain, because he's thinking, oh my gosh, first of all, if Alan Myers, Jerry's closest second-mile kid, I mean, they were a father and son type of relationship, the kid in the McQueary episode. If he's now become a victim, and my buddy Alan has now become a victim, then we're going down in flames. And if Alan can become a victim, I can become a victim, and I don't want to be on the losing team here. I'm jumping ship. First opportunity. And he took the first opportunity he got in the most scoundrel-like fashion you could possibly imagine, asking Dottie to babysit for his kids so he could go over to the police and tell his story in the middle of the trial after having sat with her on the first day of the trial as a supporter of Jerry Sandusky. So,
hold on a second. He had Dottie babysit the kids while he went to the police to tell them that her husband sexually assaulted him, and she somehow should have known or did know?
Well, he didn't say that at the time. He saved that for Oprah. But this is a guy.
But that's incredible to even suggest that. If that's true, why would you let this woman watch your kids?
Because he wasn't abused, Robert. And I think I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the reality is he was not abused. The 5 adopted children of the Sanduskys, other than Matt, are all positive he's lying. They've put out a statement finally today, speaking as one for the first time. You can see that statement at framingpaterno.com. It's a joint statement with Dottie Sandusky through their lawyer. I did not write this particular statement. I have some disagreements with the way the statement was crafted and presented, but the most important part is they all wholeheartedly agree Matt is not telling the truth. They all wholeheartedly agree that Jerry Sandusky is innocent. They have zero doubt about it. Unfortunately, they've not been more outspoken about it, Robert, because all of them have suffered incredible consequences for being a Sandusky child. They have lost jobs. One particular child of the Sanduskys has said that other children won't play with their children because of the stigma of the Sandusky case. I mean, and this is the tip of the iceberg I'm talking about here. So they don't want to be public about it, but they do want people to know that they know Matt is lying. And it's partially because they know what Matt is really all about. And people in State College who know Matt know that this story is preposterous. And the fact that he was able to dupe Oprah Winfrey so easily, and the rest of the media so easily, tells you everything you need to know about this case and why it has been blown from day one, from A to Z. There was no cover-up at Penn State. Joe Paterno was not culpable in a cover-up. Joe Paterno did nothing wrong, and there was no cover-up because there was very little, if anything, to cover up. That's the bottom line of this entire case.
The amount of pushback, the amount of pushback that you get on a regular basis. I mean, most people in the country must think that you have absolutely lost your mind.
Yep, they do. They do, Robert. And believe me, this has not been easy on me. This has been the toughest thing. I've gone through some tough battles. I mean, I was Sarah Palin's de facto spokesperson for about a year. And that was a picnic in comparison to this. I mean, I get brutalized every day for no pay, no hope of any pay, no thought of any pay. My career has been destroyed. But why have I done it? Because I'm positive I'm right, and I'm positive I'm the only person who can fight this fight, because no one else will. Because we now live in a world where this story is so toxic and everyone is so cowardly and the media is so biased, it's broken. The system is broken.
Why not this as an idea? I have less than a minute, but why not this as an idea for you personally? You've made the case that you've made. Why not now let it go? Let time pass, and then as a result of that, regain your life?
Because I can't get hired doing anything. I mean, I'm completely toxic. I mean, plus there's somebody. No one else will take this over. If somebody else would take it over who was competent, I'd be happy. As I've told CNN and the Today Show, please, somebody do this. But no one else will, because no one else is stupid enough to care enough about the truth as I do.
John Ziegler, framingpaterno.com. I encourage you to go there, read, watch, listen, and then decide for yourself. John, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Robert.
John Ziegler, once again, framingpaterno.com. News headlines.